Oh no! What up guys, this is Jim from Greater China Tech, and today we're going to be reviewing these two very interesting products. So we've got the DJI Air2S that I'm going to be comparing to the E99 Drone Pro 2. One, which is very cheap, and the other, which is quite expensive. To find out if these drones are worth the money, we will subject them to 3 quality tests. The first is about portability, the second is about maneuverability, and the third is about the quality of the footage. The E99 Drone Pro 2 feels a little bit more like a toy in terms of the heft and weight. It's extremely light, whereas this DJI product feels quite robust and solid. So the DJI Air2S has a listed weight of 793 grams, and within that you include the battery weight, which is 200 grams. Now in the promotional material for the E99 Drone Pro 2, it's listing the weight at 368 grams, but in practice I think it's much less. And bear in mind that the Federal Aviation Administration mandates that for drones above 250 grams, you do have to register them. Again, going to the E99 remote control, it's pretty basic and simple. You have like a gamepad-esque controller. DJI Control actually has this built-in stand, so this pops out, and this is where you can plop in your mobile device. Options here, you have this dial that controls the gimbal to control the angle of the camera. And finally, you have a USB-C charging port on the bottom. So for the DJI Air2S, it actually has these hot swappable batteries. And these have a capacity of around 3,500 milliamps. So this will get you flight time of around 31 minutes. When it comes to the E99 Drone Pro 2, in their advertising material, they say it's powered by 3 AA batteries, but that's actually not the case. It has some sort of proprietary battery unit. So we're actually not sure how long this will fly for. But this is enough talking. Let's go out in the field, test out these two drones, and see what happens. So this is the E99. We're gonna take it up for a test flight. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Here we go. So the first one did not work very well. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that the second one does. So now I want to show you guys the process for pairing your phone with the drone. Do HD 4K, we go into the app of the FPV camera, and it says, please connect the device. So I don't think it's yet realized that I'm already connected. Hey, there we go. The display on my phone here. And then you can see, we got this great signal of my face. Round 2, new product. Hope we can fly. Oh! This is much more successful than the last one, so I'm pretty happy it could fly. So now we're gonna be testing out the DJI Air2S. So we're gonna take this up now and see how we go. 咱们都往后靠一点啊。这个很稳，是吧？你可以分别控制它的那个摄像头的角度。So now we're back in the studio. Let's talk about the maneuverability of the Drone Pro 2. For our test, we had a little bit of an idea that it might be unreliable. So we actually decided to purchase 2 separate units of the Drone Pro 2 just in case one of them had a problem. Our second Drone Pro 2 was able to actually successfully lift off from the ground and flew pretty well. As far as specific metrics for losing connection or how far away we could fly before we lost connection, it's a little hard to say. I would guesstimate we got around 100 meters away from where we were filming in terms of horizontal distance and maybe 50 meters high. Another key aspect to consider when it comes to drones is about crash tests. So if the drone falls out of the sky or for instance bumps into an object, will it survive? And the Drone Pro 2 did pretty well. In terms of the control interface and responding to directions, I think the Drone Pro 2 doesn't do great. The Drone Pro 2 was constantly sort of listing to one side, a little bit like a drunk person trying to ride a skateboard. In other words, it definitely doesn't stay in place if I don't touch the controller. So from a battery life perspective, the E99 promises about 20 minutes of flight in their promotional materials. In our experience, it worked for about 15 minutes before recharge was necessary. So that's enough about maneuverability when it comes to the Drone Pro 2, but let's talk about the DJI Air2S. So in terms of how easy it was to get the drone flying, it was extremely easy. DJI has a really cool function, which is the takeoff tool. So you can just long press the takeoff button on screen and it will fly to 1.2 meters and basically be fixed in that position, just flying in the air in front of you. In terms of how long it flies and distance away from you, they advertise up to around 10 to 12 kilometers. We didn't test it that far away, but we did go probably around 1 kilometer away with no latency issues. In Shanghai, we were unable to exceed 120 meters. It seems like in Shanghai, there is some sort of cap as far as how high you can fly, so we were unable to exceed that. As far as crash tests and durability, we did rent this drone for this shoot, so we definitely didn't put this to the test as far as crashing it to see how it would perform. From a control perspective and responsiveness, the control system works extremely well. And even if there's wind, so as we flew higher up, the wind doesn't seem to affect it. It seems to be able to natively detect the wind and then counteract any wind and stay in one place. In terms of battery life, we actually didn't make it through one entire battery. We would say the 30 minutes they advertise is definitely accurate, if not longer. So in this perspective, the Air2S takes the cake. But how do you actually start using these two devices? So both the Drone Pro 2 and the DJI Air2S rely on a proprietary app in order for you to control the drone. The DJI app interface is user-friendly and looks like a typical camera from your phone with similar functions with additional controls for drone-specific functions. And the E99 Pro has some other app, which is called the KYFPV, which is a little bit of a bootleg app. So the E99 Pro app doesn't necessarily give you a feeling of reassurance. When you open the app, you see a picture of a boat, and this boat has some English text on the side that is actually flipped from left to right. So you'd assume that a camera app company would prioritize making promotional materials and designing the app that's correct. However, they didn't even bother to check the copy. So let's take a look at the footage that we got recorded from the Drone Pro 2. Now, the first very strange thing I'll say about the Drone Pro 2 is that the footage is only able to stream from the device to your phone via Wi-Fi. It seems like there's a major issue when it comes to latency. So if you hold your phone directly next to the Drone Pro 2, you're able to get a somewhat consistent, decent frame rate video feed. But the moment you start flying the Drone Pro 2 and there's distance between your phone and the Drone Pro 2, the footage quality drops off dramatically. So you're gonna start to see from the footage we're looking at here that this is a major issue. Because it's not even laggy, it's completely unusable. So when we purchased this phone, the manufacturer advertised that it's actually a 4K recording interface. But when we look at the footage that we actually get on our mobile device, it's more like 480p. We have noticed there's folks online who say you could, for instance, strap a GoPro to the Drone Pro 2 if you wanted to actually sort of create your own bootleg solution and record footage using the same device. But if you're trying to use the inbuilt camera, which only streams the footage back to your phone through Wi-Fi, it is not a workable solution. So let's talk about the footage quality from the DJI Air2S. So unlike with the E99, the footage quality on the DJI Air2S is excellent. You're able to choose in the recording settings what sort of resolution you want to get and frame rate. The only small complaint I might have is about the dynamic range of the camera. So if I pivoted between dark and light areas of the screen, I would notice that if I focus on light areas, I would lose detail in the dark areas. Or if I pivoted towards the dark areas, the light areas would be completely blown out. So of course, this is a small sensor and you can't have everything, but this is a small issue when it comes to the quality of the footage. So in summary, when it comes to the footage, the DJI Air2S is the absolute winner. There's no contest here. So in summary, where do we end up when it comes to the comparison between these two products? So first, when it comes to the E99 Drone Pro 2, I would say for 20 bucks, this thing is a lot of fun. As I said, we got 2 units. The second unit we had was able to fly and take off. It was able to fly around. It attracted a lot of attention from the local aunties and grandparents in the local Shanghai neighborhood where we were flying. So if you just want something to play with for 20 bucks, I'd say you can consider buying this, but don't rely on it if you want to shoot high quality footage. Now let's talk about the DJI Air2S, which retails for around $1,000 depending on the different specifications you have for it. This is an excellent piece of technology, and frankly, I was blown away by the footage I got from it and the overall experience DJI has designed when it comes to this drone. In fact, I rented this just for a few days for this shoot, but I'm actually extremely tempted to purchase one of these for myself after having done this review. And the simplicity of this overall experience is remarkable. So even for someone like myself who'd never flown a drone, within 2 to 3 days, I was actually able to record cinematic footage that was good enough to put in this video or even in a fancy promotional video. So that's our summary today of these two products. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As usual, this is Jim from Greater China Tech. If you like this content, please do click the subscribe link below and give us a subscribe. And if there are other products you guys would like to see us review in the future, do let us know in the comments and we'll see what we can do. We'll check in with you guys next week for our next episode. And until then, fly safe.